So last week I had an idea, a thought of, hey, remakes. They're a thing that are happening a whole lot. Dead Space just came out. Resident Evil's on the horizon. Metroid just got the remaster, not quite a remake, but a remaster that looks really great. So I had an idea. I was like, what is a game from each generation of consoles, starting from the PS1 generation? So not going all the way back, but from the PS1, from each generation, going from PS1 to the PS3, what's a game that we would like to see get the remake treatment from each generation? Because I think it'd be cool. I think some of those games deserve remakes in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
And the way I'm thinking of it is like this: there are three tiers of remake, so to speak. Okay, and I wrote this down on my phone, so I'm going to pull it up. The first tier, of course, is like your Blue Point type of remake, where it's essentially nothing more than a graphical remake. The controls stay the same, the gameplay, the story is basically the same. It's just a major visual remake. That's one tier of remake. You have like the top tier remake where it's like we are changing everything. The gameplay is very different, like a Resident Evil 2 type remake or a Final Fantasy 7 type remake, where it's like we're changing everything. The gameplay is very different. The story is different as well. Like that, there's that type of remake as well. Like what those are the type of remakes that I'm talking about here. And whatever game you want, like what type of remake would you want for it? Does that make sense?
Yeah, for sure.
All right. So let's start with the PS1 and 64 Sega Saturn generation. If you played Sega Saturn, I did not.
I did not.
Okay. What's a game from that generation that you would want to see a remake of?
There's like two big ones for me. So from the I've never played it angle, Metal Gear Solid. And then from the like, please dear God, just give me this game that doesn't look the way it looked. It'd be Ocarina of Time.
Ooh, okay, okay. See, for
Because like
me,
if you go back and try and play Ocarina of Time, it's a little rough. Visually, control wise, like getting that just brand spanking new and then like dual analog would be sweet.
it would be. I didn't think about that game because I've never played it as well. I mean, I've played like a bit of like the very beginning, but like I've never actually
Wait,
played the full game.
you've never played Ocarina?
I played a bit of the beginning, like two or three times. It was when I was way younger. I've not actually played through the entire game though.
Okay.
I know. Blasphemy, right? A pox upon my house. I'm sorry.
I've never beat it because I was a kid and I just haven't gone back to it as an adult, but I played hours of it. Like I played a shit ton of it.
Yeah. I could see if that game got a remake, people would go crazy over that. Like imagine that getting like a Breath of the Wild style remake. Like what type of remake would you want for it? Would you want just to
I
be
think
like
I would
graphical
want the blue
or
point. Like I want it to be Ocarina. I just want like but obviously the level of that jump is different because you're going from this generation to brand new. So it would be nuts. You'd have to ground up do everything, like your brand new assets pretty much and everything. The difference would be your like you're staying true, tried and true. Like it is, following everything to the T. I would say it's probably more similar to like what they did with Shadow, right? Because Shadow of the Colossus,
yeah.
I don't think they were able to like just upres and redo everything or like and upscale everything from the PS2 to because the 3 was even just that small polish, like the
Yeah.
HD remaster or whatever. So the 4 was the remake, but it'd be
Yeah.
even a bigger jump than that. But that's what I would want out of Ocarina. I think that's what I'd want out of Metal Gear because I've never played it, but Metal Gear Solid. But at the same time, if they changed it, I wouldn't know, and maybe I'd enjoy it.
Yeah, I think for Ocarina, I can go both ways, but I can see I could go both ways on it for Ocarina. For Metal Gear, if they were to remake that, which yet I've never played either, but I think if they were to remake that, I think it would probably be better served getting like the full blown remake treatment of when maybe not doing anything with the story, but definitely altering the gameplay so it's not like the top down, but it's way more maybe more in line with Metal Gear Solid 5's gameplay because I know people love 5's gameplay, so maybe more in line with
Yeah,
5 or maybe 3, but like just modernizing the gameplay and giving it like a major facelift, overhaul, and stuff like that. See, my pick that I wrote down, because I only thought of one. This might be blasphemous, okay? I never played this game to the completion, but I've played this game off and on throughout the years. Mario 64. Give Mario
Yeah, oh, I
64 a full-on
it's
remake.
rough replaying it, man. Like I know people are like, "Oh, it's still really great," and I'm like, I bought that 3D All Stars collection, and I've never played 64. I never played 64. Again, just when you're little, you have no money, so it's a game of choices. So for whatever reason, I didn't have the attachment to Mario, especially his like platformers at the time. So, and like I just got handed Ocarina, for example. So
Yeah.
yeah, I never played it, and then I went back, tried to play it, and it's just like it was fine, but I certainly wasn't having a great time. I think a remaster of that would be sick.
That I say that thing, that one I would say is, man, I don't know if it should be like a full-on remake. Like definitely do upgrade the visuals entirely. Um and I'm thinking, no, yeah, full-on remake. Because I'm thinking make moving around as Mario feel as good as it does in Odyssey. Like it feels
Which
great
feels
to move
awesome.
around.
Yeah.
Right. It feels great to move around as him in Odyssey. So like full on remake the visuals, redo the gameplay, make the gameplay feel nicer and tighter, add some new levels in there, just for funsies. Let people play as Luigi if they want to, throw that in there as a little hidden thing and all. Actually, that might have been something that was in the DS version. No, the DS version added someone else you could play as. I don't remember who though. I'm almost positive about that. Um, but yeah, maybe adding some new characters, new levels. That one deserves a nice remake. I think that would be great, especially if it was like on Switch or whatnot. Like take that on the go. Like that's what the 3D All Stars version of it should have been. Just like ground up
Yeah.
redo. All right, you got any others for this generation or no?
Those I didn't want to cheat. Like I technically did because I did two, but like it's because I couldn't pick between the two. But no,
That's
I
fine.
those there's probably more I could certainly come up with, but those were the two that immediately off the dome came
All
to
right.
mind.
So now we go to the PS2, Dreamcast, GameCube, Xbox generation. Now, what are you picking for this one? What's a game that you want to see get a remake?
This one's tough, and I'm thinking about it. You go first on this one because I want to hear what your thoughts are.
Okay. So I have one that I thought, I mean, all my life I've kind of thought this game was like an overlooked deep cut of some sort, but I've seen people talk about it in years. I'm like, oh, maybe it's not. And it's on the PS4. You can get like the PS2 version of it. War of the Monsters. Give me a remake
Okay, yeah.
of War of the Monsters. I loved that game as a kid. That game was so much fun. I have not played it since then, so I'm sure that like the combat, the fighting is probably like janky in terms of like feeling good. But like give me a new War of the Monsters. It was so campy. It was so B movie, but it knew what it was. It leaned into it so hard. And like I would love more games like that. I would love to see that one come back. Like I love how you could climb on top of a building, take the radio tower off a building and throw it at someone else and impale them with it. And then grab a light pole and beat someone with the light pole, throw cars at people. There was a stage in Tokyo where I forgot what you had to do, if it was just like a time thing, but every so often a tsunami would come across the city of Tokyo and just like wreck everything. Like it was so cool. And seeing that remade for modern day, so like making the game feel better. I think this remake, because it's a fighting game, it will just essentially end up being more or less be a Blue Point remake, but with better controls for the most part. Because essentially, I mean, it's just a fighting game. There is like an arcade mode, but like there's no real story behind it. Um,
Yeah.
that would be so great. I would love to see that get remade.
It, yeah, that makes sense. I never played the game, but I remember the box art. It was one of those ones, yeah, I'd look at it as a kid and be like, damn, one of these days I'll get it. Never ended up getting it.
It's good.
Um,
What What do you
but
got?
that's an interesting choice. Yeah, you definitely went off the beaten path for that one. So for me, it's just tough because I do think this generation actually, I think a lot of the bangers from this generation got remade or like remastered at least. Like they got a lot of games got like polished upgrades. Like it's pointless for me to say like Sly Cooper, even though I love Sly Cooper or Jak and Daxter.
Yeah.
Like Jak and Daxter would be nice to have like a blue point, but it's not going to be my choice. So got two games here. One I just kind of thought of like out of nowhere. So I've never played it, so I'll keep it in the vein of like never played and played, never played. I would like a Wario World remaster, so I don't have to fucking pay $120 for that game. And it'll drop the price of the physical edition, but also because it just seems awesome, and I'd like to be able to just buy a Switch copy of that and play that. I think that'd be sick. Again, because I didn't play it. I don't care if they change stuff. I don't care if they don't. Like we can go either way with that route. But like I think it'd be fun to have a non-Mario major, like because even Luigi's Mansion is not a platformer. So I think having like a 3D platformer with a different Nintendo mascot would be cool. And then for my played, go to the best sports game of all time, SSX Tricky, baby. How the hell do we not have? I would just settle for putting the fucking PS2 game on the PSN, but like, yeah, give me a Blue Point remake. It controls like a dream still, just obviously update it to where map it to the PS5. Just give me that high res. It's the best sports game of all time. I love it so much. Just do it. Like EA, like Mr. I'm sitting on a pile of money. All I want is money. The fact that they refuse to just give us a remaster. Turn on the TikTok camera. EA, I am begging you, please, just give us something. Just stop trying to remake all this. Or like, I don't want SSX plain. I don't want any of that shit. We all know the best one of all time is SSX Tricky. Just give it to us. I just want to play Tokyo Megaplex in HD and rack up million scores. Like that's all I want in life. And you're denying me of it, and I'm tired of it.
I love your TikTok rants. I love your turn on the TikTok camera rants. They're always good. They're always good. All right, moving on to the PS3.
So yeah,
that's it for your PS2 generation.
Yeah,
right?
I was just gonna say, yeah, moving on.
So PS3, Wii 360 generation. All right, this one I actually have a couple listed out, but I'll say only like two of them, maybe. Okay. My first pick for this, it's gonna be controversial. Okay, probably gonna be controversial.
Okay,
because many people would say it doesn't need a remake. Remake BioShock, the very first BioShock. The type of remake I'm talking about for this, I'm talking like the Final Fantasy 7 remake, the Resident Evil 2 remake type of remake, where still like, yes, still keep it a first person shooter. Okay, that's fine. Update that gameplay. I haven't played it in a while, but I imagine that the gameplay might not have aged the best. So update the gameplay. Let's change some stuff with the story a bit. Still keep, the core of the, player control, that theme and everything going on there. Still keep that, but let's play around with the story some. Let's mess around with it a bit. Let's get a little weird, get a bit weirder. Maybe make the ending a bit better, because I know people complain about the ending of that game. Maybe make the ending a bit better. And then I think maybe lean more into the spookiness of it, because like BioShock is like kind of like borderline survival horror for the first 2-3 hours, and then after that it kind of loses that entirely. Maybe lean into that a bit more throughout the game. And I'm trying to think about what else we could do. Maybe I don't want to say make it open world, because BioShock 1, it's not open world. It's not even open area. Like you have you're able to go through the world, but you're blocked by like the loading screens and all like that as you go to each section. And everything is more so like level based, kind of sort of. Maybe make this open world where you're able to explore Rapture as you please. And if maybe if you still want to have certain areas blocked off because of story progression and all, like I can get behind that. I can understand that. But let me like freely explore Rapture. Let's go to parts of Rapture that we didn't in the first game. So maybe we go into a building and we just, there's a raft that we could go into that takes me to another building in Rapture. And there's more story stuff over here that we never explored in the original game. Maybe we can do that. Like I would love to see a modern day Rapture, just on these consoles or the
Yeah.
next consoles. I think that would be controversial, but it could be really cool.
I I don't have an attachment to BioShock. I think I played like the first 2 hours and I just got stuck and never came back. And this is like when I was 14. So um but you're right. Like, yeah. So my interpretation of the game was like I thought the whole thing was that survival horror-esque. Obviously not quite to that point, but it is definitely, you're right. It's got those vibes for sure. It's a pretty intense game the first couple hours. I think
Yes.
that may have played a part of me getting stuck and being like, fuck this. But this generation's tough because yeah, I don't think that BioShock necessarily needs one, but I can see the argument. Like, I think there's some good points there. For me, it's just like, yeah, I'd play that for sure. Um, I think I'm gonna go with, and I think you could do either or here, Blue Point or Full Blown. I'd be cool with either. I played the first one. I think I beat it. I don't know. I if not, I'd play like 90% of it. But then stopped. But I do have the whole series in my collection now, and I need to play them. I think let's bring back Resistance, baby. Doesn't have to be
Okay.
Insomniac, but I want something that Sony feels like they've abandoned. Maybe remake it. Maybe do the full blown, so like it's a little more interesting. And I think you could even play up the horror elements of that. Maybe, um, I do think it was a competitor, but I think they've got to have a studio that could do something more interesting with it. Well, not that Insomniac did bad, but I assume Insomniac doesn't want to go back and redo that franchise. But like, I'd be fine if they wanted it or whoever wants it. I just think it'd be really interesting to uh, bring that back. And also, like, come on, Sony, I want some first person shooter. Bring something back. And I think Resistance is more interesting than Killzone personally. And I like Killzone. I don't have anything against it, but I just think that'd be like a more interesting revival than Killzone.
Yeah, I've never played any Resistance games, but I played all three Killzone. No, I played Killzone 2 and 3. Um, they were good games. I think Resistance was always just more interesting though, just from a concept, like from a conceptual level than the gameplay level was always more interesting. Uh, so I would definitely, if they remade the first Resistance, I would play that in a heartbeat. So I never played the first one. I would
Yeah.
play that in a heartbeat. That'd be really cool to see. Um, yeah, do that. Do that for sure. I got one more. One more I'll say real quick.
Oh,
Uh
okay. Nice.
the conduit on Wii. Okay.
Oh,
Now
hey, yeah. I
I
remember
again
I'd never played it, but I'd play it. I'd do a remake. You already sold me.
again, I know that this might be a deep cut, off the wall cut kind of sort of. But the conduit was a fun game. Like that was a fun first person shooter on the Wii. I really enjoyed it. And I think seeing that game get remade, like I'm talking maybe not full blown remake. Don't change the story. Let the story stay as stupid as it is. But like update the visuals, modernize the gameplay, add some new maps. That would be fun. That would be cool. It's like that in between like the Blue Point and like a full on remake. Give it the in between stage, like that Crisis Core type of stage where it's like you're not really a remake, you're not a full on, but you kind of sort of are. Let's do that for the conduit. That game needs more love. Bring it back, Nintendo, or someone.
I I I never played it because I didn't own a Wii, but I remember, yeah, very vividly that game coming out and it being like a big we people were just like, we got a first person shooter, guys. And I don't have any expanding on this, but I'll throw in here real quickly. Let's get a Mad World remake too, you know?
I
We're
briefly
throwing
thought about that one.
we're throwing weirdo Wii deep cuts in here. Never played it, but it seems cool. I'd like to revisit it, you know?
No, I could say that. Let's get Platinum to do that with their A team, not their B or C team. Please and thank you.
God, there's such a difference there.
There is a very, very big difference there. But yeah, those are some remakes we'd want to see. This is supposed to be just like a remake thing, but you know what? This ended up being like bring it back, essentially. It's kind of to bring it back remake edition. And I'm down with that.
Yeah. Combo. Yeah, a little bit of a combo.